Cinder Ardern up on that wee bit, but what a great day for the government. And more importantly, what a great day for New Zealanders, Mr. Speaker, because after projections of a decade of deficit, we as a country and the public accounts are back in surplus, and we are now managing the growth of this economy. And Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, what that means is that with the good management of the economy that Bill English and John Key have given us through disciplined decisions day after day, year after year, we can now invest more in families, Mr. Speaker. This isn't luck. It hasn't happened by some magic tree down the bottom of the garden we pluck money off, according to the Greens. This has happened by good management of the economy that is allowing us to invest more money in Kiwi families. And we are prioritising in those families first and foremost. They are getting the first dividends of good management of the economy today, Mr. Speaker. And PPL is, of course, part of a much bigger package. $500 million for families at the heart of this budget. And PPL, if you like, is the heart of that heart. It's $172 million of package. This bill, 141, I think it is, and then the rest in a wider reform package. What a great day for Kiwi families, Mr. Speaker. But let me tell you this is, unlike what we've seen in other proposals, a considered and a responsible package, Mr. Speaker. It is more and more, and a good package. It is more and more entitlement, going to 18 weeks in 2 affordable steps than the status quo, and more eligibility, Mr. Chair. And you know, actually that, I have to say, is perhaps the key of the wider package here. Fundamentally, it is more choice for Kiwi families to decide what is best for them. And so what a privilege it is for this government to be delivering this for New Zealanders, extending PPL in 2 affordable steps and widening eligibility to caregivers other than parents, and of course to people in less regular work, and then increasing flexibility. 26,000 people get PPL now, Mr. Speaker. We are increasing that by 1,400 families with what we are doing. That is 1,400 families who, under Sue Moroney's proposals, got nothing from Sue Moroney's packages. Because unlike the Sue Moroney package, unlike what we've heard from the Labour and Greens, this is a considered, responsible package that reaches more people who deserve the help, Mr. Prasad, who deserve what we... See, Sue Moroney, she did the easy bit, but she hadn't done the hard policy work that was required to reach more people and do the thinking on the things that matter. Because just extending the length of PPL isn't the right approach for this country. That's not what this is all about. Well, Mr. Prasad says it is. Well, actually, go back and listen or read what is said by people who actually normally support Mr. Prasad. Susan St John, Jonathan Boston, academics who have made very clear, pre-budget, Mr. Chair, that more important than the length of the entitlement was targeting it to the people in need. And that is what the Labour and Green Party have forgotten with their glib thinking, with their lack of hard work in this area and actually across the board in policy. And Mr. Speaker, this government, and I thank the officials for their help as well, has done that hard policy work, and we are doing the work to ensure that the law is going to reflect the modern and increasingly diverse families and workplaces of New Zealand, so that more New Zealanders who deserve paid parental leave and the tax credits get what they deserve. Let me give you a couple of examples here to flesh this out, Mr Chair.
The Honourable Simon Bridges.
Caregivers other than parents. At the moment, we know that it is mum, her partner and an adoptive parent, the only people that get paid parental leave. We are modernising the law to reflect the reality of families today so that permanent guardians are there. And, of course, ones like Home for Life guardians who perhaps in permanent foster arrangements weren't able to get this, who wanted to be at home nurturing what is their child, but weren't included. And grandparents, working grandparents, who are able to get the assistance that they need. And Mr Prasad says how many? Well, 600 more people will be receiving on this part of it by widening the caregivers to a primary carer type concept like we see in the tax credits already in the law there. That's something we'll be consulting on, but so that every child who needs it, where their parents, of course, are meeting the other eligibility criteria like working, getting it under this. And that's an area where Sue Moroney, where Jacinda Ardern, where others in the left there hadn't done the policy work. We want to see people in less regular work. We want to see people in less regular work also getting this. This is another area where they haven't done the work, because at the moment you've got to have consistent, regularised, effectively, if not full-time, certainly permanent work with one employer. Effectively, that middle-class work is where you get paid parental leave, Mr Chair. But we're intending to make this much more fair, Mr Chair, so that if you've been in full-time for a good chunk of the year, part-time for most of the year, you, and we'll consult on this, will be eligible. And that'll see seasonal and casual workers, perhaps, and we've seen examples of this, someone who is a fish processor, a woman fish processor for half the year, then moves on to fruit picking the other half of the year, not eligible. She may have been doing that for 20 years and she is not eligible under the current scheme. But we are changing that, Mr Chair, and making a difference in that regard. Those who recently changed jobs. A real example, the Canterbury earthquakes meant that this woman in her supermarket job lost her job. That same week went to work for the very same supermarket in a different suburb in Christchurch, but because it was a different franchisor, was not eligible despite being several months pregnant for paid parental leave. And we'll consult and change on that. And workers with more than one employer, again, widening the eligibility, because we have done the policy work and we're making sure that this is a fairer package. Finally, increasing flexibility and the wider reforms that are in this area, in addition to this bill, which increases the length. The work that Labor and the Greens haven't done.
Point of order, Sue Moroney.
Mr Chair, it's very interesting, but it's not in part one of the bill, nor is it in fact in the bill at all. What the Minister is talking about.
I am... no, it's not a wide-ranging. I'm listening very carefully to what's being said, and it is in context and building a picture for the overall billets before us. So I'm allowing him to continue. The Honourable Simon Bridges.
Currently, the law on paid parental leave is an inflexible all-or-nothing position. You start your paid parental leave, you have the 14 weeks, increasing to 18 weeks. You then have the option of going unpaid for up to 12 months. If a woman goes back to work for half a day, been examples of women going back in for IT training, they lose all eligibility, the paid parental scheme. And that is wrong, Mr Chair, and we want to change that and ensure that there is increased flexibility for the benefit of women in this scheme. We want to see days at work for training and those sort of purposes, and also after that 18 weeks, the ability to also look at perhaps the part-time options, always at the woman's discretion, Mr Chair. So it's great to be speaking on this important set of reforms that this government is leading for the benefit of New Zealanders.
I'm going to call Tracy Martin.
Thank you, Mr Chair.